It's no wonder YouTube keeps shutting me down. I'm probably not a very good YouTuber. I mean, what's the first thing we do when we come on this channel? I mean, I'm always telling people, hey, take my videos, download them, put them on your channel. Don't worry about sprinkling a few pennies in good old Colin's cup. So I give away something for free. I don't think I see that on many YouTube how-to YouTube channels. So you know, that's not that smart. But the second thing is, so we do all these videos about black mob violence, black on white crime, black on Asian, black on young, black on old, black on gay, black on straight, black on Amish, black on Eskimo. And we also talk about how reporters and public officials are in denial, deceit, and delusion about it. We do it without racism, rancor, or apologies. Bam! But all this stuff keeps happening, and I don't have any idea how to explain it. And I'm not just talking about the violence and denial. I'm talking about the tsunami of movies, musicals, TV shows, all about this white racism, white violence against black people that happens all the time, that explains everything, and never stops. It just keeps happening. I just keep not finding it. I mean, look at all the movies that have been out late. I mean, you know, all the movies that have been out lately and all the movies that are coming out, and then the TV shows. I mean, the first one I saw made me think of this was Jay-Z is doing a big movie on a six-part series on race in America. You know, Jay-Z married to Beyonce. She's the one that did the Black Lives Matter halftime show at the Olympics. I mean, at the Super Bowl. Well, who hired Jay-Z to do that? National Geographic. Who owns National Geographic? Fox. Same people that own Fox News own National Geographic. So the same people who fired Roger Ailes, the same people who fired Bill O'Reilly are now producing documentaries about white racism and black victimization all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. You know, there's something strange about this when, you know, the New York Times ran a huge piece, and I think it was in the magazine, about, you know, the changing of the guard at Fox, not just Fox News. But, you know, some people will write in and say, Colin, there's a difference between Fox and Fox News. They're two different, you know, entities. No, they're not. You know, for the accountants and lawyers, they might be different, but they're the same company, run by the same people, the same principals, the same trophy wives, the same sons, putting the conservatives down, promoting the liberals, and spreading this narrative of black victimization, which is the greatest lie of our lifetime. I mean, I would just blow through a few seconds of some of these movie posters in case any of you guys forgot what's going out now and what's come out recently. And so there's really no pushback on this, is there? Well, there is one pushback. I mean, we're a pushback. I wish we were as big as Beyonce. I'm ashamed to admit that, you know, if Beyonce can take one of her little kids, I'm ashamed to say I even know the kid's name, I think. But she can take one of her kids out to the 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee, and she'll get more views in, you know, 1 minute than we'll get all year around here. But we are growing. And the people that watch this channel really respond to how we report this violence in a semi-dispassionate way that they can show to their friends, their family, their neighbors, and say, what the hell is this? So that's what we're going to do now. So we see, in response to Jay-Z and all these other filmmakers out there, Harvey Weinstein, who are making videos of white racism and white violence against black people all the time, all I can tell you is this is from the last couple of days. We got an enormous amount of black mob violence and black criminality. Oh, by the way, I'm doing a separate one on black on white murder, which is not a part of this. So why don't we look at some really weird black criminality, black mob violence, and how people react to it recently.
Kids using racial slurs and throwing rocks at houses and cars has a few Norwood residents up in arms. They want it to stop.
Yeah, I've got allergies. I apologize. Fox 19 Now's Michael Baldwin spoke with one of them, and he's live with the story. Michael?
Yeah, Rob and Tricia, we are over here in Norwood, and the scene is right down there behind me on Myrtle Avenue. We got a chance to speak to one of those residents. He says he just wants all of this to stop, but the question is, How? It was just after Christmas when a gay slur was written in the snow on the car window of Hunter Robinson along Myrtle Avenue in Norwood. We are blurring it out, but Hunter sees it clearly because he says it's nothing new.
Yeah, we get cracker, whitey, white stuff like that.
Hunter Robinson told me the people that are doing this are children. He snapped this photo today, but because he told me their ages range from 8 to 12, we are not showing their faces. They're about 3 to 4 kids. He shot this video of the preteens throwing rocks, he said, at homes and cars. Again, because of the age, we would not be able to show you, but he told me he wants this to stop.
Like our next door neighbor, he comes out and there's footprints on his cars, and they're pretty nice cars. He has a Jaguar, a Mercedes. They're antiques, and they...
Why don't you don't want to confront them? You're afraid to confront them?
Like, when we do, they just say, I do what I want. And they call us white.
Hunter said he has searched for the parents of the preteens, but so far has come up short. He said the racial language they use hurts, and he hopes it doesn't get them hurt.
I mean, they're little kids, so I try not to let it bother me. But like I said, I would never call them anything outside of their... I don't know any of their names, but I would never intentionally try to bother them by calling them any kind of racial slur or any kind of derogatory expression.
But you want them to stop doing that to you, though?
Yeah.
Right.
Because they, like I said, they can say that to some crazy white supremacist, and next thing you know, they're shot.
Oh, good Lord. Where did this clown come from? White supremacists are going to go around shooting black people? Hey, clown, you're a victim of black mob violence. So are all of your gay buddies around the country. And now you're sitting here trying to apologize for them, defend them, the people who are victimizing you. What are you? You know what? I feel like doing some gay violence on this dude right now. That's how bad he is. Why don't we roll into Brooklyn to see some routine black violence against Jewish people up there. Broke into a business, had what they wanted, but they stuck around and beat the hell out of these Jewish guys anyway. And if you're a black person down in this part of the world, I think that's North Carolina, you want to have some fun, just go find an old homeless white dude, beat the hell out of him, damage his brain, and then just run away laughing, because nobody will give a damn. There's all these places in the country no one's ever heard of, no one's ever been to. Why don't we put Salisbury, Maryland on that list? Salisbury, Maryland, the malls, the neighborhoods, the parks are regular, predictable sites of large-scale black mob violence and black-on-white crime, just like this article. Next.
I love being able to use this trail. I don't want people to feel scared to be here.
Now at 6, safety concerns on the Schuylkill River Trail. Tonight, a renewed call to action after a runner says she was groped. And this is not the first time there have been issues along the popular running route. Good evening, I'm Jessica Dean.
And I'm Nicole Brewer in for UP Washington. Eyewitness News reporter Anita O is live along that trail tonight with more. Anita?
Jess and Nicole, after similar reported incidents last year, city partners announced a volunteer-based group aimed at making this trail safer, but that initiative never actually got off the ground. Tonight, a woman who says she was groped while exercising on this trail this past weekend is speaking out only to Eyewitness News. Once voted the best urban trail in the nation, the Schuylkill River Trail is not immune to thorns.
I hate having to always be looking over my shoulder.
Bridget O'Brien, an avid trail user, says just after 5:30 Saturday afternoon, a group of 8 to 10 African-American teens on bikes swarmed her while she was exercising on the trail.
One of the boys, who is probably no more than 12 or 13 years old, rode up next to me while I was on my rollerblades and smacked me on my behind.
Philadelphia police say the boys then fled in the direction of City Hall. While O'Brien filed a report with the Special Victims Unit, she's speaking out in hopes this won't happen to anyone else.
It's unacceptable, and frankly, it's illegal, and they need to be stopped.
O'Brien is not alone. Similar incidents last year sparked concern, outrage, and efforts to make the trail safer.
We're going to be out there helping people.
Last June, Eyewitness
Eyewitness News was there as city partners announced the creation of the Schuylkill River Trail Watch, a volunteer-based community group trained to serve as the eyes and ears of the trail. But after multiple meetings and training sessions,
there were about 12 people that had signed up to actually patrol the trail. It was really frustrating.
And that's why the initiative never got off the ground, despite support from leaders and police, says John Lyons. He's the founder of the local running organization Run 215.
Sitting behind a keyboard and being an armchair quarterback is very easy. Action is a lot harder.
And that's the challenge Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, whose district includes part of the trail, is asking the community to take up.
When people see something, they should say something, but most importantly, come on out and get involved. It's all of our trail.
Now, though that trail watch never actually came to fruition, the city did improve and increase lighting along the trail. They say they're now working to install remote cameras, increase police patrols, and they're also weighing how to revive this trail watch program.
Candace, right here off 5th Street in the heart of downtown Richmond, a man says 3 guys asked for an access code to an apartment building behind me here, followed by fists and the swipe of a knife. We have to warn you, some of these images are graphic.
You see the stairway right here?
An alley tucked between a bank and pay-as-you-go parking lot next to the downtown Hilton.
Talking to a coworker of mine, he went right back inside. 3 dudes approached me out of nowhere and cornered me at my stairs. One of the light-skinned guy clocked me in the face.
This man, who wants CBS 6 to hide his identity, says he was attacked out of nowhere.
They asked me just about information about my apartment.
Specifically, the victim says the 3 men were asking for the access code to a lettered apartment. The only problem, there are no lettered apartments inside this building. The victim says that's how he knew something wasn't right.
I had a funny feeling in my gut.
The victim is knocked to the floor. He says the 3 stomped him, kicked him, punched him, and one even reached for a weapon.
Come into his back pocket and pull out a knife, knocked me in the skull while I'm already on the ground.
Several staples and stitches and a broken pinky later, the victim was treated and released from Chippenham Hospital. Not only is he wondering why he was attacked, but also who the 3 were.
I've never seen these people before in my life.
Candace and Rob, the victim says the 3 cowards jumped this fence you see behind me here, got into a black SUV and headed west on Broad towards 4th Street. The businesses in this area, some of them located in this alley, say they now will install surveillance cameras.
You know, I was so sorry last year when Starbucks, they announced this, what was it? I forget the name of their campaign. Their campaign about they were going to have all their baristas talk about race relations to their customers when they gave you a cup of coffee. Oh, I was so waiting for that just to go on and on and on. But the people at Starbucks are smarter than that. They know they stepped in it. They got the hell out of there just as soon as they got in there. They stopped that campaign almost right away because all I wanted to do was go to Starbucks and, you know, just show them a news clip and say, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Of course, there's lots of stuff going on at Starbucks, too. Lots of black violence at Starbucks. I'm thinking of Starbucks where a black woman on video in Philadelphia threw coffee in a white woman's face. I'm thinking of the Pacific Northwest, Starbucks country. Might have been Vancouver. Black guy chases a white guy out of the apartment into Starbucks. Beats the hell out of him right there in Starbucks. I'm thinking of another case in Chicago. People got killed in a Starbucks. Black people did it. And there's a lot of black criminality in Starbucks. And I don't think the baristas were really prepared to answer what that was all about. I mean, was it really white racism? Really? Really? And so this one was white racism too? Well, okay. That's all you got. Good luck to you with it. Okay, in Seattle, we had a really weird story in Seattle this week. Well, let me precede it by saying this. So last year, this black guy got into a fight with one of the fellas, and he started blasting away at people at a bus stop. Well, it just so happens the people at the bus stop were all coming from an anti-Trump rally. 5 people got shot. He just turned himself in a couple days ago. Day after he turned himself in, the fellas, Black Lives Matter, had a huge rally in downtown Seattle. You know, Trump is bad, boo Trump. But then a couple days after that, a couple of the fellas were in the 7-Eleven. They thought they would borrow some merchandise without paying for it, picked up a case of beer, some snacks. Because really, you really can't expect some of the fellas to drink beer, free beer, without having some free snacks, can you? You know what? We should probably ask our barista at Starbucks about that. Anyway, so all of a sudden they're running, cops are chasing them, and this is what happened.
Minutes, Cairo 7 confirmed the names of the 3 police officers hit by gunfire during a shootout with robbery suspects in downtown Seattle. They are Hudson Kang, Elizabeth Kennedy, and Chris Myers, who was grazed by a bullet. And new since this morning, we talked to the clerk at the 7-Eleven where this all began. The suspects walked into the store at First and Cherry shortly after 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Then minutes later, the suspects exchanged gunfire with officers just blocks away at the old Federal Building. Cairo 7's Jeff Du Bois is live at Harborview, where Officer Hudson Kang remains hospitalized today. And Jeff, the 7-Eleven clerk had quite the story to tell you.
He told me, Michelle, 7-Eleven corporate officials asked him not to give any formal interviews, but he walked me through exactly what happened yesterday afternoon. More on that in a second. First, an update on the condition of 30-year-old Hudson Kang, the officer who was shot in the face here. The 30-year-old is in the hospital here at Harborview in serious but stable condition. Several police officers from SPD have also been here to show their support ever since the shooting. Danny Johansson said he couldn't talk on camera, but told me the 2 suspects did not seem at all suspicious when they walked into his Pioneer Square 7-Eleven Thursday afternoon. He said they just grabbed about $20 worth of beer and food and walked out without paying. Johansson ran after them, but when the 19-year-old male suspect pulled out a gun, he backed off, ran back to his store, and called 911.
It was just too close.
Bill Lapke is a regular customer of Johansson, who just bought the franchise store a month ago with his brother.
Well, he seemed to be smiling today, thankfully, but obviously that's going to be pretty frightening. It's going to be a harrowing event.
After getting away, the suspect and his 17-year-old accomplice ran a couple blocks. According to witnesses, the male suspect was tackled by an SPD officer who was then hit over the head with a bottle swung by the 17-year-old girl. That freed the other suspect, who pulled a gun and started firing at officers. 3 were hit, 1 just grazed on the hand. A female officer was struck near her rib cage, but was saved by her bulletproof vest.
They pulled her vest up, and you could see it was quite a welt.
You know, it's not every day we see a black person walk into a Denny's and set an old white dude on fire. But at the same time, it's not exactly a rare event, this black on white violence, where old white people are just sitting there wondering, what the hell just happened to me? I didn't do anything. I thought I was kind of down with the cause.
Put your hands up or we can see your palms.
I am happy and proud to announce
Turn around slowly for me.
that we have made an arrest in the case.
Can you get down on your knees?
That is the moment deputies arrested the man accused of a brutal attack at a Denny's restaurant. Here is Deshaun Swanger's new mugshot. He's in the Clackamas County Jail right now.
KGW's Rachel Raffinelli joins us live from the jail. And Rachel, Swanger should be in court today.
That's right, Ashley. Good morning. He should. And for now, he remains behind bars here at the Clackamas County Jail, facing attempted murder, held without bail. And we have learned that he is no stranger to law enforcement. Take a good look again at that new mugshot from this morning. 24-year-old Deshaun Swanger has a lengthy criminal history. His past charges include robbery, burglary, and assault. Yesterday, as seen in cell phone video, deputies arrested him outside a transitional home. This is just minutes away from the Denny's where the fire happened. The victim's family says 69-year-old Scott Randstrom was at Denny's by Clackamas Town Center Wednesday night to have coffee, play with his computer. That's when a complete stranger doused him with gasoline and set him on fire. Leslie Kurt says her brother is a Vietnam veteran, a lover of animals. He's a kind, gentle soul.
His face was like this big, and he's a skinny guy. And all red and horrible looking, burnt to a crisp. He was burnt to a crisp. They did that to my big brother. And I'll never, I don't think I'll ever get over it.
Just heartbreaking, isn't it?
Well, Deshaun Swanger, he picked this guy out and he set him on fire, as we just saw. But every once in a while, I get some really hard pushback from somebody going, Colin, you said that person was black, but you didn't prove it. Well, we could spend every video 20 minutes showing how we go into here, go into there, go into my email, go into my phone calls about who's white and who's black. But every time when that happens, I always kind of say, okay, well, let's just bet on it. So in the case of Deshaun Swanger, the first time I saw him, I saw the name, I said, well, Deshaun. I don't know any white people with the name Deshaun. But I looked at him, you look at him out there with his hand over his head, and he looks kind of light. You see his picture, he looks, okay, I don't know what he is. Who the hell knows what he is? Anyway, so one of the easiest ways to do it is you just go to the jail records. In this case, you just go to you see the jail was listed right there on the video. You go to that jail, it says inmate population. You put the guy's name in there, and you come up with this. Good old Deshaun Swanger self-identifies as black. Next.
A targeted, brutal attack. A 16-year-old being beaten by at least 10 other teenagers here at Luna Park, we now know was not random. A source tells Pix 11 the victim knows his attackers from high school and from his neighborhood. The 16-year-old was beaten so bad on Easter Sunday, he had to be rushed to the hospital for a collapsed lung.
It's Nicole Johnson with Pix 11.
We tried to speak with the victim at his apartment after he was released from the hospital today, but his mother said they had no comment. It was quiet at Luna Park Thursday as people prepare for the season, with concerns about violence here.
That's dangerous. People could get hurt. That's something serious.
It's horrible. And I think that people have just misplaced rage.
You're having a good time, one guy says something to another, and bang, you got a big fight going on.
The attack on the teen happened just 45 minutes after a false report about gunshots being fired near the park. Hundreds of people panicked and took to social media. In a statement, a spokesperson for Luna Park said the Coney Island community is deeply disturbed by these events and will continue working with the city to ensure a safe and enjoyable environment.
Police telling us a house party came to an abrupt end when one of the teenage party goers was stabbed. This happened at a home on Coke Boulevard in Annandale. News 4's Lori Bordnero has been there all morning. And Lori, you just got some new information about who police are looking for.
And Stacey, police tell me they are looking for 2 people in connection with this stabbing. Investigators have been out here since last night canvassing this block, and you can see here the front of this home is still taped off after a teenager was stabbed more than a half dozen times during a backyard party. Beer cans and party cups still scattered across the lawn here as detectives work to figure out who stabbed an 18-year-old at the home on Koch Boulevard. Police say an argument possibly about a girl escalated. One guest then grabbed a sharp object and stabbed the teenager 9 times in the chest and back. He was rushed into surgery at the hospital where he's now in stable condition. Police say there were about 100 people here at the time. Neighbors here describe a wild party, loud music, cars lining the streets, but say they never expected any violence.
It was extremely loud, like so loud. And not a lot of young people live here. There's not a lot of parties. It's usually very, very quiet. But it was really, really loud. We were all like kind of freaked out.
Last evening, we did an investigation to a shooting that occurred at a family event down at Lipscomb Street Park. In that event, or during that event, at some point, somebody pulled out firearms. And when they pulled out the firearms, they began shooting into the crowd. What we're believing is that there's up to 80 rounds that were fired, but we're still trying to determine which shell casings belong to that incident, which belong to another incident. And that's still ongoing at this time. We're also looking for some serious suspect information. We're not getting the cooperation that we would expect to get out of an incident like that. When you have a large group, a family group, good people, kids, trying to have fun and this type of thing happens, you would expect more witnesses to come forward. And because of the lack of cooperation that we're getting from people who saw the event, we know they saw the event because there were so many people out there, that there has to be somebody that knows everything that occurred. They're just failing to give us the information.
It's over, man. Nothing is over! Nothing! Stop all that bullshit, man. Y'all know the motherfucking people outside, my baby. Chill out. Chill out with this shit. Right there. Girls to the back. I want entertainers to the back. I want entertainers, get your ass to the back, man. If y'all don't get your ass to the back, y'all will not be working in this motherfucker.
Last month, police were responding to a call about a potentially large fight near the Kroc Center. Meredith Tahar joins us now to tell us how the community is responding.
Dan and Lauren, nearly 1 month ago, officers told a group of 5 young teens to get on the ground and held them at gunpoint after that report of a fight. Now, the teens were heading home after a basketball game. Around the same time, a witness told officers a group of young men were leaving the center and one of them had a gun. One officer saw the teens, who reportedly matched the description given. They were black, and last week their parents demanded an apology from police at a city commission meeting. Chief Rahinsky did apologize, but both police union leaders say they were doing their jobs and following training given the information they had.
We're not asking for much. We just want our boys to get apologized to. They're just walking down the street going home.
I apologize to the young men and their families. A sincere apology and an explanation that the officers involved were following up on specific information.
What if one of our babies had made the wrong move and they wouldn't be here with us tonight? Would you be okay with saying that it's proper protocol then?
The officers conducted themselves in a professional manner, which resulted in a safe outcome for all.
All we ask is for something to be changed.
And the Grand Rapids Association of Pastors say they lend an important voice at this moment. They'll be discussing the incident today from 11:30 to 1 at Brown Hutcherson Ministries on Jefferson Avenue. Now, Dan and Lauren, leaders from several organizations will be in attendance today.
Well, this is kind of a new form of witness intimidation. 6 of the fellas killed another fella, or at least shot another fella, after he was acquitted of murder, probably because the witnesses didn't show up. Apparently, you know, if you ask Jay-Z, he'll tell you white people do this too. Okay, Jay-Z. But why don't we get into this story in, why don't we get into the story? I remember where it is now. In Des Moines, Iowa. A lovely young lady out there is on a bus. She's sitting on the bus. A whole bunch of black people get off the bus, and on the way out, they start beating the hell out of her. This is Des Moines, Iowa. Let's give that story a listen.
As they hit me and ran off and they were laughing, it was really shocking.
Tina Gravitt took us back to the spot where she says she was assaulted Wednesday. She was riding a DART bus.
Minding my own business, and they came behind me as they were getting off on this bus stop and just hit me in the head really hard.
Gravitt says it happened when the bus stopped at the corner of 9th and Crocker around 4:15 in the evening. She says it came out of nowhere.
I cannot believe this just happened to me because I didn't, nothing. There was no words exchanged, no eyes, bad looks or anything. And the bus driver started screaming.
She says the bus driver stood up for her as she tried to de-escalate the situation. Those with DART showed KCCI the security footage from the alleged assault. They could not release it due to the active investigation.
As they exited the bus, 3 of the group of 5 made contact with the head of passenger who was sitting in the first seat by the back door.
The mom of 2 teenage boys says she now wants justice because the minors who she says violated her ran off the bus down this street.
Something needs to happen. The parents need notified because this doesn't need to be happening to other people.
DART's chief operating officer says they're now working with police.
At the end of the day, it is a police investigation. There's only so much that we can do as the transit agency. But again, we want to ensure that the justice is served.
Okay, if you go to her Facebook page, you'll see she's been posting about how since that attack, she's had headaches, she's been diagnosed with a concussion, nausea, all sorts of aches and pains from these people beating the hell out of her. Do you think the bus company, did they seem to care? Did that guy, the bus company, I'm sorry to judge him by his appearance, But that dude looks to me like he'd much rather be out participating in a Black Lives Matter rally than running a bus company. The idea that you would say, well, I can't give you the video because that might impede the investigation. No, that would help the investigation, fool. You don't want to give the video out for reasons of your own. You don't want to get the video out because you don't want people in Des Moines to know that there's an enormous amount of black on white crime in Des Moines. Oh, you think we were going to forget about Beat Whitey night at the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines? How about that white father of 6 who was out walking at midnight, go by a bridge? 20 black people killed him. How about that black mob violence at the Asian Fair in Des Moines? This is a long list of stuff that goes on in Des Moines. Now we're just going to add another one to it. Now we have this clown of a bus company executive going, oh, I can't give out that video. Oh no, that would impede the investigation. That might mean we might actually catch those people. Well, how come this guy in the taxi cab company we're about to see next, how come he didn't have any trouble giving out the video?
Erica, the manager here at Yellow Cab, gave us the video with the hope that somebody can identify the suspects. He tells me robberies happen from time to time. However, this is the most violent incident he's seen.
How much is it, sir? 25.
It starts like a routine cab ride. The driver, whose face we blurred, waits for payment on a trip that ended at 16th Street and Rural last Friday night, when the passengers turn violent and one points a gun at the driver's head.
The suspects produced a handgun and asked the driver for money.
Jeff Weber is the operations manager at Yellow Cab.
The driver activated his emergency button, which let us know that he needed help. The suspects could clearly see that he had done so. I guess they became alarmed.
In the video, you can see the driver swat the gun away from his head. Another man also has a gun. The three then break the side window to escape.
Let me give you what you want. What do you want me to give you? I give you, don't do something else.
Broke out the window behind him on the sliding door. They were unable to open the door for some reason or another, and they crawled through the window. Once they exited the vehicle, they fired multiple shots at the vehicle.
While the cab driver is physically okay, Yellow Cab and Metro Police hope to identify the three men.
I think the driver was very fortunate that he wasn't struck by as many bullets as was shot at the cab.
And Jeff tells me holding up cab drivers is hardly a lucrative career.
We're transitioning more to a cashless society. The drivers don't ever have very much cash on them at any one time anyway. So it's really not beneficial to rob a driver.
But this is a long list, isn't it? In Delaware County, which is near Philadelphia, kind of the suburbs of Philly. Officials here are doing a little preemptive strike on all the black mob violence, black criminality that we document in these towns over the last couple of years. They say they're not going to take it anymore. They're putting the word out. No mas. Ain't going to be no rematch. Which is what they said last year, the year before that, year before that, back to infinity. I don't know what's going to change. The first time they come up into a racially charged case where a black person's doing something really bad, he gets caught, and the ministers show up. These Delco public officials, they're going to run away like little girls, squealing in a very high-pitched voice. Because that's what you have to do if you don't want to make the black kids angry.